I'm standing in the TSA line at O'Hare. My mom is 3 people behind me, rolling her eyes. My dad is next to her, scrolling his phone. My sister is loud whispering to both of them. I can't believe we're flying out here for her little podcast thing. Little podcast thing? I'd heard some version of that line for 3 years. I grab my bin, I look up. And there it is. A billboard. 40 feet wide. Right above the security checkpoint. My face, my name. My podcast logo. The gate agent scans my boarding pass. She stops. Wait, are you— oh my God, you're the voice from Morning Shifts. I listen every day. Behind me, my mom goes silent. My sister's mouth is open. My dad finally looks up from his phone. How did we get here? And why, 2 days ago, were all 3 of them texting my lawyer? Let me rewind 6 months. But first, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from and what time it is right now. And if you're still here at the end, you'll see why I keep every receipt. Hit that like button so I know you're real. 6 months earlier, I was recording in a walk-in closet. Foam panels on the walls. A $20 mic. A dream that cost me everything but money. Because my family? They never put a dime into this. I started the podcast 3 years ago while working full-time in medical billing. Nights, weekends, 4 a.m. edits before my shift. I taught myself audio engineering on YouTube. I studied storytelling, audience psychology, sponsor pitches. Every family dinner, the conversation went the same way. How's the podcast? Growing. Hit 10,000 downloads last month. That's so cute. But when are you getting a real career? My sister got her MBA. They threw her a party. I quit my job to go full-time on the show. They called it reckless. You're walking away from benefits for a hobby? I didn't argue. I just kept one rule. I document everything. Every contract. Every invoice. Every email. Every download report. I'm not paranoid. I'm careful, because I knew, even then, that success changes how people see you. Failure makes you humble. Success makes you a target. And 6 months ago, I became a target. The Trade magazine ran a feature. They estimated my monthly ad revenue, $40,000. That's when my mom called. And suddenly, for the first time in 3 years, she was proud. Honey, I saw the article. I'm so proud of you. That should have felt good. It didn't. Thanks, Mom. We need to talk about managing this. You know, smart planning, taxes, image. We should set up a family LLC. I blinked. I already have an LLC. I have a CPA. I'm good. Silence. Then her voice went tight. We're your family. We want to help you protect this. I don't need protection. She hung up. 10 minutes later, the family group chat lit up. My sister. Don't be selfish. We talked you off the ledge 100 times. We're stakeholders whether you admit it or not. I stared at my phone. Stakeholders? I typed back. You told me to get a real job. You didn't invest $1. My dad's message came next. This isn't a negotiation. Expect a call from our attorney. This needs to be formalized. Family takes care of family. I read it twice. Our attorney? They'd already hired someone. I looked at the sender time. 2 hours before my mom called. The proud voice. The we want to help you voice. It was a script. They'd planned this, and I was supposed to just agree. I put the phone down. I didn't answer. But I started a new folder on my desktop. I titled it Evidence. 3 days later, the letter arrived. Certified mail. Law firm letterhead. Cease and desist. The claim? Unauthorized commercial exploitation of family name and likeness. I'd mentioned childhood stories on a few episodes. First person, my memories. My voice. They were calling it intellectual property theft. The letter went further. Failure to cease may result in notice to sponsors and publication of reputational harm. Translation, they'd tank my contracts. That afternoon, my inbox pinged. One of my sponsors. Subject line, pause pending clarification. We've received communication regarding disputed ownership. We need to pause the campaign until this is resolved. Brand safety is a priority. I sat in my studio. Mic off, lights off. The walls I'd soundproofed felt like they were closing in. My phone buzzed. My sister, "Just give us 30%. This goes away, or we go louder." I thought about it. I really did. 30% for peace. 30% to make my family stop. Then I stood up. I walked to my filing cabinet, and I pulled out every folder I'd saved for 3 years. LLC formation, bank records, contracts, emails. I didn't just have proof. I had a timeline that could end this. I started with the LLC. I'd filed it myself. 2 years before the trade article. 2 years before they ever said the word stakeholder. Single member LLC, my name. My signature notarized, I scanned it. I labeled it receipt number 1. Next, the business bank account. I pulled every statement from day 1. Contributions from family, $0.00. Equipment purchases, hosting fees, software subscriptions, $18,000. All from my savings, all traced back to my personal account. I labeled that one too. Then I found the email. Year 1, month 2. My mom's response when I'd asked if they wanted to invest. "We love you, but we're not putting money into a podcast. That's not a real business. We hope you understand." I read it 3 times. Not a real business. I forwarded all of it to my lawyer. Not theirs, mine. She replied in under an hour. "This is airtight. If they want to claim ownership, they'll have to prove contribution. They can't." I exhaled for the first time in days. But I didn't tell my family I'd lawyered up. I wanted to see how far they'd go. And I didn't have to wait long. They went nuclear. My aunt called. "Your mom told me you cut them out after everything they did for you." I'm disappointed. Everything they did? Like telling me to quit? I didn't argue. I just said, ask her what she invested. She hung up. Then my sister started messaging my sponsors directly. I saw the screenshot from one of them. "Just so you know, there's an ownership dispute over this brand. Thought you should be aware. Not illegal, but damaging." 2 more sponsors asked for clarification calls. My mom escalated next. Voicemail, 11 p.m. "I'm going on the local morning show. I'm going to tell them how you exploited our stories. Our name. Last chance to settle this like family. Deadline Friday." I made a list. Every lie they'd told. Every piece of proof I had to counter it. They said they were stakeholders. I had the LLC filing. They said they supported me. I had the not a real business email. They said I used their stories. I had episode transcripts. Every story was mine, first person, my childhood. Friday came. I didn't settle. I didn't call. Instead, I filed. Anti-slap motion. Declaratory judgment. Every receipt attached. And I didn't tell them. I let the courier do that. The filing had 3 exhibits. Exhibit A, trademark registration. I'd trademarked the podcast name 18 months earlier. Sole owner, my name. Registration number on file with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. You can't claim ownership of something that's already registered to someone else. Exhibit B, guest release forms. Every single person who'd ever appeared on my show signed a release. Rights assigned to my LLC, 23 signatures, 0 family members, because none of them ever appeared. They were too busy telling me it wasn't a real job. Exhibit C, the text thread. 16 months ago. My sister to me. LOL, nobody cares about your podcast. Get a real job. I'd screenshotted it back then. I don't know why. Instinct, maybe. Now I knew why. I attached it to the motion with a timestamp. Exhibit C, evidence of ridicule during the growth phase. My attorney's cover letter was 1 paragraph. Respondents claim sweat equity and emotional investment. The evidence shows contempt, rejection, and 0 financial contribution. We ask the court to declare petitioner the sole owner and award fees. I hit send, and then I did something I hadn't done in months. I went to sleep, because I finally had leverage. My lawyer called me the next morning. I ran a public records check. You should know what you're dealing with. She sent me a PDF, my parents' home, second mortgage, filed 11 months ago. $85,000. Credit card liens. 3 accounts in collections. My sister's LinkedIn said her startup had closed. I Googled the name. Local news snippet. Tech startup folds amid unpaid vendor invoices. Then I found the article that started it all. Not the trade magazine piece about my revenue. The Adweek feature from 2 weeks before my mom called. Headline: How micro podcasts are hitting macro revenue. My show was the lead example. Estimated annual revenue: $500,000 to $700,000. They didn't see me. They didn't see 3 years of work. They saw a number. And they saw a way out of their debt. My mom's call wasn't pride. It was panic. My sister's texts weren't about fairness. They were about survival. And my dad's lawyer? A last-ditch play to claim a piece of something they never believed in. I closed the PDF. I wasn't angry anymore. I was clear. And I knew exactly what I had to do next. I didn't negotiate. I sent a formal cease and desist to their attorney. Subject line: Retraction demand. Your clients have made false claims of ownership. Enclosed are exhibits disproving each allegation. Continued contact with sponsors will be treated as tortious interference. Govern yourselves accordingly. I locked down every social account. 2-factor authentication, new passwords, email filters. Then I sent a briefing to every sponsor. Subject: Ownership clarity. I attached the LLC filing, the trademark, the bank records. One sponsor replied in 20 minutes. Thanks for the transparency. We're back in. Another: Can we upgrade the deal? I didn't stop there. I'd been invited to keynote at Pod Summit, the industry's biggest conference, 1,200 attendees. I'd turned it down because I didn't think I was ready. Now? I accepted. The topic: Monetizing your voice, from bedroom to billboard. The conference posted the speaker lineup. My name, my headshot, my story. I didn't tell my family I was speaking. I wanted them to find out the same way I built the show. Publicly. 3 weeks later, Pod Summit opened, and my family was in the audience. I didn't invite them, but they came anyway. The keynote was at 2 p.m. main stage, 1,200 people. My face went up on the screen, 30 feet tall. The host introduced me. She went from a closet studio to 7 figures in 18 months. Please welcome the host of Morning Shifts. I walked out. The applause was loud. I saw my family in the back row. My mom, my dad, my sister. I didn't look away. I started with my story. The grind, the rejection, the growth. Then I got to the part that mattered. A couple months ago, someone told me I owed them. That my success was theirs. That I'd stolen something that belonged to them. I clicked to the next slide. Here's what I did. I pulled my receipts. Slide: The LLC filing. Receipt number 1: The business I built alone. Laughter from the crowd. They got it. Slide: The bank statement. Receipt number 2: $0 in family investment. $18,000 from my savings. Applause. Slide: The email. Receipt number 3. Quote: That's not a real business. The room erupted. If someone didn't invest their time, their money, or their belief, they don't own your success. Period. Standing ovation. I looked at the back row. My sister was already walking out. My mom's face was red. My dad stared at his phone. I finished the talk. I walked off stage. My phone buzzed. Email from my lawyer. Subject: Order granted. I opened it. Declaratory judgment entered. Defendant's claims dismissed with prejudice. Defendants ordered to pay plaintiff's legal fees in the amount of $12,400. I read it twice. Another email from a sponsor. We want to double the deal and make you a brand partner. Equity included. $150,000 a year, plus points. I stood backstage, alone. For the first time in months, I smiled. I didn't just win, I owned it. Legally, publicly, finally. The court order went into effect the next week. My family's lawyer dropped them. They owed me $12,400 in legal fees. They didn't pay. It went to collections. I didn't chase it. I let the system work. My mom sent one email. Subject line, I'm sorry. Body text, I'm sorry things got out of hand. I hope we can move past this. No acknowledgement of what she'd done. No ownership of the damage. Just out of hand. Like it was weather. I read it. I saved it to the evidence folder. I didn't reply. I didn't block her either. I just stopped responding. My sister deleted every post she'd made about me. Scrubbed her Instagram. Mutual friends told me she refuses to talk about it. My dad tried to reach out through my cousin. He wants to see if you'll do coffee. I said no, politely, firmly. Some bridges don't get rebuilt. And that's okay. The podcast kept growing. 300,000 listeners a week now. I moved into a real office. Soundproofed. Professional. A framed print of the airport billboard on the wall. Not ego. Evidence. I launched a scholarship last month. $25,000 a year for first-generation creators. It's named after my high school media teacher. The one who told me my voice mattered. Not my family. Her. I handed the first check to a young podcaster last week. She cried. So did I. I don't hate my family. I also don't owe them. Those two things can both be true. Boundaries aren't revenge. They're not cruelty. They're clarity. They're respect. For yourself. You don't owe anyone a piece of what you built alone. Not your parents. Not your siblings. Not anyone who showed up after the work was done. If they didn't believe in you at the start, they don't get equity at the finish. Keep your receipts. Document everything. Protect your work. And when someone tries to take credit or take a cut, you'll have proof. Not just for a lawyer, for yourself. So here's my question for you. What boundary do you wish you'd set sooner? Drop it in the comments. I read everyone. And if you stayed to the end, hit subscribe. I've got more stories. And I always keep receipts. One last thing. This story is a fictionalized dramatization. It's not legal or financial advice. If you're in a situation like this, talk to a real attorney in your area. But keep your receipts anyway. Trust me on that.